Hello all of you LEGO lovers out there, and today we have a minifigure highlight video. We're highlighting the minifigures from the set 75155, which is the Rebel U-Wing fighter from the most recent Rogue One Star Wars movie. Now these are some really great LEGO minifigures for you today. We have 5 total in this set. The first is Bistan, then we have a Rebel Trooper, the U-Wing pilot, Cassian Andor, and of course everyone's favorite heroine from the most recent movie, Jyn Erso. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, and one of the very first minifigures that we have here is Bistan. Now you can tell that he's outfitted with sort of a jumpsuit, so it's not really military armor or combat armor, but what you see is that you see sort of those cables, the straps, the belts that all kind of hook in. It definitely looks more like a pilot outfit, more common to what we would see with a pilot outfit, but definitely lightweight, and it has sort of that light green mixed in with a little bit of forest green in there, and the print on the torso and the pants sort of blend together. As you can tell, they're actually sort of a connection to one another and they extend on. Now this minifigure also comes with a gray, medium length rifle. It's that kind of light gray, it's not a full-on black. And then let's take a look at the back of the minifigure really quick. There we have some more of that sort of pretty high detailed, actually. I mean, it has, the folds inside of the wrinkles and that looking material, sort of lightweight looking material that we have on the back here. And it's a pretty solid print, really. I mean, it looks really highly detailed. It has sort of that emblem in the very middle of the chest there, and then a couple of the little latches and hooks at the very top of the chest as well. Now another thing to note is sort of the uniqueness of this headpiece, as it is one solid mold for the minifigure, which is definitely something unique for this minifigure and for kind of LEGO in general. Let's take a look at that. As you can see, that's all one solid mold, so that's a pretty unique and cool looking headpiece for sure. Put that on there, and then you also see this metal rim going around the base of the headpiece that sort of looks like it would serve to maybe some additional sort of armor, but it mostly looks like it's a sort of a piece for maybe an additional helmet to be attached on, some headgear, maybe protection in outer space if they still wanted a gunner, in a space battle or something like that. So it definitely looks really cool minifigure. A lot of detail on the vest. For all of you, mock fans out there that are making World War II mocks and things like that, maybe this could be a good use for a type of like a jumpsuit, something of that nature. Definitely a pretty cool minifigure. And the next minifigure we have in line to take a look at here is, of course, the U-Wing pilot. Now, this U-Wing pilot has a lot of the similar pilot prints that we've seen before. This is all blue outfit, which is pretty nice. It has kind of the blue tan hands and all of our standard pilot printing with sort of the longer jumpsuit, kind of your air tube, your central terminal there on the chest. The prints actually sort of separate there between the torso and the pants. A little bit of that tube actually runs down onto the lower leg section of the minifigure. It also comes with a small blaster, which is actually, this is a straight up small black blaster, so it's not light gray like we see with the Bistan minifigure. And then you have kind of the standard pilot helmet with a kind of a diamondy checkered design on the very top there, a little streak of yellow. So we have that right there, a little streak of yellow, a little bit of red at the end, and then a design that's sort of checkered diamond like that. And the back is just sort of some standard belt latches and loops, and kind of a very standard print for kind of that pilot that we're used to seeing. Now this minifigure does have 2 expressions if you take the helmet off. So the first expression is sort of this big grin. It's a little bit conniving. I mean, it looks kind of like, a little bit crazy with a big grin, heart of the battle, really going at it. And then on the back here, you have this, oh no, I'm terrified. Like, the U-Wing is definitely going to crash. Everyone needs to abandon as quickly as possible. So those are the 2 faces that we get with this minifigure. It's a fun little minifigure, nothing too unique or too exciting. but it definitely looks good. A nice blue color, really nice detail, a lot of detail as you can see on the print. They're just getting more and more detail with these minifigures, so it definitely looks good. Definitely a fun little minifigure. Now let's take a look at the next one. Alright, and here we have the Rebel Trooper. So this is a pretty fun little minifigure. We have sort of standard tan pants that have some print on them that sort of suggests, you know, some ruffles or almost knee pads, and then some pockets, and we also have additional print on the minifigure that actually, you know, is a little bit more heavy combat. You can tell that there's some gray print there that almost looks like ammunition, but not quite. Potentially could be armor. And then you have this helmet that has a yellow emblem on the side there. It sort of extends back. It's a little bit elongated towards the back of the minifigure. Comes with a medium-sized gray rifle. Again, it's a light gray rifle. If you take a look at the back, sort of an extension of a hoodie, as you can see there, and then sort of the extension of that belt that goes around to attach the this gray part in the front here. So some good additional detail on the back, little pocket there, a little pouch. It definitely looks really good, really solid minifigure, nice little combat minifigure. The face, as you can see, is sort of a standard little, not quite a grimace, just a little, kind of a stern face almost. Nothing too crazy, nothing too intense. There's no second face on this minifigure, it is just the one. So you're probably going to just be seeing him like that, you know, all the time, unless you want to throw some hair on him or anything like that. But overall, fun minifigure, has some nice accent pieces. The helmet, the rifle, little emblem on the helmet there, and overall, really good print. And then we have Cassian Andor. So Cassian is definitely one of the cooler figures, definitely one of the cooler characters as well from the Rogue One movie. You can see that this minifigure is pretty highly detailed. Some mild stubble on the face with a little mustache, kind of a goatee, medium length brown hair there, sort of parted off to the side. A medium length, another gray rifle. The torso has a lot of detail, and it's sort of like his big wintry coat, right? It's his jacket. It's blue. You have the folds in the middle, a little bit of detail up top to show sort of ruffles on the hood, some of that puffy, feathery lining of the hood, tan and blue pants. They sort of mix there. You can see here on the side there's a print of these goggles, sort of the binoculars that come off, and then, you know, it's a belt, of course, with not quite white hands. They're really light brown, like a really light tan. And then back here on the back of the torso, you also have sort of an extension of that print there showing off the top of the hood and sort of that fluff around the middle of the hood, and then an extension of the belt in back as well. So not too complex of a minifigure, but definitely the front has a lot of really good detail, a lot of really you know, specific details on the front that sort of put the minifigure together as a whole and give it a lot of personality. And then if you take the hair off, he has a second face as well that's a little bit like kind of almost inquisitive, but it's more kind of a stoic, mellow face, maybe a slight frown. And then compared to the first one, that's more of like a, you know, that's a face that's a little bit more intense, kind of a mild smirk. You have the raising of the eyebrow there. So, yep, altogether, really fun minifigure. This one I think is one of my favorites out of the set. It just looks good, and all the detail on and the print of the torso and the legs really give this minifigure a lot of personality that kind of makes it stand out. And of course, it's a notable character in the movie, so I'm sure this will be a pretty hot minifigure. Then last but certainly not least, we have our Jyn Erso minifigure. So this minifigure actually has by far sort of the most detail and the most add-ons out of all the minifigures in this set. So let's get right into it and go over a few. I suppose the first that we want to look at here is this little pouch. This pouch just goes over the torso. It's pretty similar to some of the other pouches we've seen, like maybe on the Indiana Jones minifigure, kind of similar to that. But nice little brown pouch there, you know, keep her accessories in. What's interesting about this is when she has the pouch on, you can't really put this left arm down. It's sort of resting on the pouch the whole time. That's the arm that she uses to carry her small gray blaster there, like that. And then we also have her wielding a rocket launcher in her right arm. And so this rocket launcher is made up of like a lightsaber handle here, and then 2 stud pieces that kind of fit into the end, and then like one of the little mini wrenches. It's like a little tiny mini hook or wrench that kind of clips onto the middle of the rocket launcher or the middle of the lightsaber handle, and that's how she sort of holds on to it. So that's pretty cool. And then you also have this cape. Now the cape is just one, you know, solid piece of fabric. It's a little bit not quite frayed at the bottom, but cut at an angle, cut sort of more in a jagged fashion. So that cape covers both sides of her body. And then she has this helmet on here, which is unique in a few ways, especially in that it has sort of this hair mold coming out of the bottom, and it's all molded to this one helmet piece, and it also has sort of a comm piece right here that you can see where, you know, she talks into it. And so it's a pretty detailed helmet. It's pretty elaborate. And then you also have this piece up here that clips on and off. That's a pretty standard accessory for, you know, other Star Wars minifigures that we've seen. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second face she has, which is more of, you know, a battle-ready Jyn Erso with sort of an intense grimace, intense eyebrows, definitely a little bit different than sort of the serene, mellow face that we have on the front of the minifigure there. And then let's also take a look at how this hood actually sort of sits on there. So the cape itself is actually one solid piece, which is sort of interesting, but it has one slit, fairly large slit right in the middle of it, right there. So you could technically actually take it on it, put it on and off of her head without ever taking her head off. It won't be able to fit around the helmet, of course, but it is interesting that it's able to. It's just a big slit. I don't know if that's kind of a move that they're going to be doing with like a lot of capes just to make them more easily accessible or what, but I thought that was pretty interesting. So that's what the cape looks like. And then here we have the print of the torso. So the torso has sort of that a hoodie undershirt that she's wearing with that open vest. It's not a very heavy vest. It's sort of like very light armor, you know, mostly for maybe it has a few small pockets kind of thing, and for a few accessories. Then on back is just pretty a basic extension print of that whole vest that we see on the front of the minifigure as well. And then just a standard black pants. Nothing special at all about the pants or the torso or the legs. It's just all straight black. So that's what we have for our Jyn Erso minifigure. Go ahead and put the hat back on like that. So there we have our minifigure, and I'll show you, we can sort of just slide that hood on like that without even worrying at all about taking the head off. And then we can put the helmet back on, and there we go. We've got our Jyn Erso minifigure back together, and you can also put on that pouch or leave it off. It sort of restricts the arm movement, so you may not want it on all the time, or it won't be super effective if you want to create a lot of battle scenes. But yeah, there we go. There's our Jyn Erso. And there you have it. There's all 5 minifigures from the 75155 Rebel U-Wing fighter from the most recent Rogue One Star Wars movie. All 5 minifigures are pretty cool. Definitely a lot of detail on each minifigure. The 2 that stand out the most are Cassian and Jyn. They have sort of the most prints on their minifigures, some of the most accessories. Jyn even has a rocket launcher, which is pretty awesome. And Bastana is also a really cool minifigure. Has that sort of unique headpiece that's all one solid mold and definitely has a lot of detail on the body as well. So go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let me know which one you like the most. Like, subscribe, and from everyone here at AFOL's Brick, live long and play well.